What's up, everyone? Thunder here, and welcome back to the PDL podcast. Today's episode is going to be all about the midseason review, talking about what's going on in the middle of the season right now. Today, I'm joined by Coco Puffs and Easton. How are you guys doing?
How's it going, Thunder? Glad to be here.
Doing
Yep,
great, Thunder. Also glad to be here.
yep. And let's just get right into it with the FAs of this season. So the FAs are now closed for week 4. So this is what everyone's team is going to be for the rest of the season. So what do you guys think? How do you think the coaches did with their FA pickups?
I mean, just from the FA hater over here, I think some teams got exponentially better off of their FA picks or their trades. And I think other teams have left me with my head scratching, not understanding why something was dropped. Not necessarily why something was picked up, but why something was dropped.
Gotcha. That's understandable. At least for me, I think since we have a lot of new players, a lot of people maybe didn't like correctly draft like a proper team or like kind of got punished because like they didn't get a certain Pokemon. So like I will say it's like a pretty forgiving like FA system for them to like fix up their team a little bit if like they're like new to drafting. But yeah, what do you think, Coco Puffs?
Yeah, I mean, I'm personally like a fan of free agency pickups. I think like it's a nice way. I consider it like a resource, and I know drafting is a skill, but I like that we have like a small limit to change our team somewhat. So if you did make a little mistake, or if you want to go in a different direction, you're not as punished. But yeah, I think I have to agree with Ethan. I think from my perspective, just a lot of side grades I saw this season.
Yeah.
A lot of side grade moves where it's like, okay, maybe they're moving in just like a slightly different direction, but overall, I don't know how much it really affected their team. A lot of, I mean, obviously the league is bigger this season, right? First season of having the league be 32 players, 32 coaches, but it was interesting to see a lot of free agency moves happen so quickly too. Uh, like I feel a lot of people were really hasty to fix their draft, maybe worrying that the Pokemon they wanted to pick up would get picked up before they could get to it. But some people playing it a little slow, waiting till the last minute, seeing what drops. I think that's also a nice strategy some people employed.
Yeah, I would have to say, in my opinion, for this Kanto Red trade and FA pickups, I have to say the biggest thing that's on my radar at least is the Roaring Moon actually getting picked up on the Kanto side for some reason for almost what 3 or 2 weeks. Roaring Moon was just undrafted for no reason. Like what a strong Pokemon it is.
Yeah, it's kind of criminal that it wasn't drafted in the first place with how versatile of a Pokemon it is, and we kind of touted this in our preseason and post draft video. That like versatility in Pokemon draft is extremely important, and that's why Roaring Moon is even in singles leagues, it's picked quite early. And to see it not picked at all when there's 2 free slots that you could use, especially when the free slot this season is pretty much acting as a Gen 9 slot. Um, Crazy that it A didn't get picked and B didn't get free agency picked right away.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I also have to say, like, I think D1 was probably one of the biggest winners, partially because of that Roaring Moon pickup over free agency. I liked a lot of these changes. I mean, I'm a big Ditto lover, and especially it's his mascot, so I was kind of sad to see that not end up on anyone's team. But I like that he gave himself a Weezing to shut off all their abilities, play with the Weezing Regigigas mode, and then the Iron Fraud, as a lot of people like to call it. I do think it was just a bit of an upgrade um, to play, or in terms of typings at least, with his team. Obviously, the iconic NDD plus Armarouge combo got lost, but I think the Iron Crowd gave him a bit of a fast mode he could work with too.
you say we have two frauds in the
Yeah,
PDL now, because this is Iron Crown we're talking about. It's not the Iron Boulder, right? So I'm assuming that you think there's two
Yeah, it's
Iron
true.
frauds.
There's 2 Iron Frauds for sure.
just to touch on the Iron Crown pick a little bit more here. I do think the Iron Crown fits his team a lot better because Arborouge wants to set Trick Room, but his team doesn't actually play well in Trick Room. He doesn't have a Pokemon below 60 BST, so like Trick Room can be used against a really fast team to get his middling speed Pokemon to work, but he didn't have the right mode for it. So I think Indeedee with the Iron Crown plus what he already has drafted puts his team in a much better position to play games in his favor rather than being on the back foot more of the time. So I would agree with Cocoa Puffs. Like the way he did use his FA picks definitely makes sense, and it certainly makes his team better. Do I think this is still a top draft per se? I don't.
Yeah,
But it
I'm there
definitely
with you.
has made the team a lot better.
yeah, and then speaking on some like other teams, for example, the New York Yankees dropping like Infernape for Gastron. I see that more as like a more of like a side upgrade. I think Infernape's pretty good, but Gastron's also pretty good, so it just kind of depends on the team. It gives him like
Uh,
definitely more of like a I guess a bulkier Pokemon, but loses Fake Out.
he has Hitmontop already. So the double fake out is not necessary, especially when both of them are naturally fighting Pokemon. Uh, in in doubles, I feel like the Hitmontop has more value as a fake out user because of Intimidate. So if you're bringing Infernape to a match, it's more likely to be an offensive threat, but it not using an offensive move on turn one. I don't hate the Gastrodon pickup because he didn't even have a water type before this.
Fair enough.
Um, and it gives him some protection for Chiyu if someone has a really strong water attacker. So for the team specifically, I think it's a good pick. But I I almost feel like keeping the Infernape and running the hyper offense variant that his team looks like it is better than the balance variant that he currently has going. So I personally would have switched the Hitmontop, despite me thinking it's a better Pokemon in doubles overall, for a water type from Gen 2, if there are even any reasonable ones left.
Fair enough, yeah. I would have liked to seen him because like when I initially saw this team, I thought like it was a pretty good team, but then I thought about his like speed control options. I know he had I think a Tailwind user. I think he had Zapdos, but like not the fastest of Pokemon. So I would have liked to see him pick up like maybe like a more faster or like even like a priority Tailwind user for this team because I feel like his team obviously has the damage, but if he had the speed control as well, then like I feel like this team would just be like lights out. Like it could just click Tailwind and then boom, just damage, damage, damage.
Were there any priority speed control options left that wouldn't hinder his draft though? I haven't looked enough at the what's still draftable, but were there any prankster Pokemon left up or like any bulky Tailwind users that could supplement the Zapdos, kind of like the Suicune does on my team, that could have given it a leg up on the competition? I know Mandibuzz wasn't picked, which is a very interesting Tailwind option that could have fulfilled those thoughts.
I mean, he
Uh
does have the Latios and the Enamorus, which I think both also get the bulky Tailwind setup. But I think it runs into the issue where it's like it's a bit too much of, like you said, this team is trying to run the hyper offense. I would have liked to see that prankster option. Like I think one of the bugs was still up. I think maybe a Volbeat, maybe a Lumais, may have still been up for that Gen 3 slot. But the problem becomes then you're dropping Latios for it, then you're dropping your free slot for it. It's like what's the right call?
yeah.
But just to go back to what Easton was saying, I think what we're going to see a lot of with these FA pickups everywhere is role compression. I think it's a common theme where it's like you realize, hey, I have this Pokemon that something else on my team, does better almost every week, and that is going to lead to me saying, hey, maybe I want to try to find something that fulfills a different role I don't have. Like you said, like with this Hitmontop, like if you already have the Infernape that you're trying to run the hyper offense version with, and you're thinking about bringing Infernape almost every week, and Hitmontop's not coming, maybe that was the right thing to drop. As much as I love Hitmontop, but in terms of like upgrades, downgrades, side grades, what would you guys rate the changes here in red? Which ones do you think are side grades? Because if I had to just looking at this real quick, I'd probably say side grades. The Infernape for Gastrodon, just kind of going for a different mode. And then that's kind of about it. Maybe the Primarina for Oranguru. the Heliolisk, the Majors Penguins trades seem like a little bit of a side grade to me. But otherwise, I'm seeing either upgrades or I think just straight upgrades in this division.
Yeah, I don't see any
The
real like
the, on-
downgrades at all.
the only downgrade for me is actually from the first one in the list, from the South Austin Dugongs, the Oranguru for Lycanroc. I think, despite him having an abundance of Trick Room users, I much prefer the Oranguru on the team than the Lycanroc Dusk. The Lycanroc Dusk gives him a slightly faster Pokemon. But his fastest Pokemon already is Iron Bundle, and there's no reason for you to ever lead Iron Bundle Lycanroc Dusk. And I just don't see the value that the Lycanroc offers to his draft. Whereas Oranguru fulfills a very unique role in VGC, and
Yep.
I could see its position on the team clearly. That's the only one that can see as a clear downgrade.
As much as I love Lycanroc does, like I've always bantered with McFeeds and stuff about like this Pokemon's actually pretty good. Like who's the best Lycanroc? I have to agree with Easton here that this is kind of a downgrade because I feel like Easton said, the Rangaroo just like provides like so much. Like even like this Instruct or the Trick Room, and I'm pretty sure it has one of the abilities where it can't be faked out or it can't be taunted or something, right? One of those abilities.
I
Yes,
think
I think it can't be
Inner Focus
taunted if
is
I'm
it?
correct. Oh, Inner Focus. Yeah,
it
I think
is.
you're right.
It is inner focused, and
So
it
yeah,
also has telepathy in some matchups. It can provide
use
that
like
value.
Earthquake with like Earth Luna and stuff like this. So I think it definitely like was a pretty good Trick Room setter for this team. And like now his Trick Room setter is only I think what Mr. Mime and Cresselia, which Cresselia is still a really good Trick Room setter. But I feel like had you had that Oranguru, I don't think you're really gonna see Trick Room much from Mr. Mime. Like let's be honest, it was mostly gonna be Cresselia or Oranguru before, but now it seems like it's only gonna be like Cresselia. And like I guess maybe in niche situations, Mr. Mime could set up Trick Room if it's like an angle.
Funnily enough, Klefki also gets Trick Room, but because of even with Prankster, it doesn't get Prankster Trick Room. So you're not going to see that on it.
Yeah. But other than that,
But
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, other than that, like it's mostly side grades or clear upgrades. I really like what JJ did with the Ursaring for Azumarill. With how low the power was in Gen 2 compared to some of the other generations, I feel that it was also kind of criminal for Azumarill to not get picked. It has a very clear niche in VGC doubles. It's always really good in draft with the two variances and sets that it can bring. I think it's a clear upgrade over the Ursaring. Um, and then the Furfrou for Dragalge, I also really like. I'm a Furfrou hater. Sorry for all of you that actually like that Pokemon, but I love Dragalge. I almost drafted it myself. It's very unique in what it offers to a team, and it's a quite good Terra user, honestly.
Yeah, I have to agree with everything you say. Any thoughts, Coco?
Yeah, I mean, I think just on that JJ move, I think that's one we even talked about potentially making during the draft review. Um, we even said specifically Azumarill might be a good pickup for that team. So glad to see JJ pick that up and have some success with it. I think last note here, the Fortress pickups. I think probably straight upgrade with a Sceptile to Melodic. I think kind of crazy to see McFeeds drop that. Um, for him, I mean, obviously for McFeeds might have been a bit of a side grade or upgrade. We'll look at that next, but big upgrade there, and then otherwise just kind of a bit of side grade in terms of giving his team other options uh,
Yeah, he did drop
to
it for
play with.
Suicune though, so like I guess it's like fair enough, right? Suicune's also pretty good, but he has the whole issue with like Suicune Blastoise, right? Like you're always most likely always gonna bring Blastoise over Suicune unless like you have like a really niche situation.
Yeah, yeah. I think we
Yeah,
should hop over to blue and look at that because I think that's one of the first ones on the slide there.
Yeah, let's take a look. So here are the Kanto Blue trades and FA pickups, and there it is. Yep, the Milotic dropped for Suicune.
I gotta
Easton, you
say,
wanna? Yeah,
I definitely approve of McFeeds' FA trades. Um, as much as I'm a hater of Stantler, and it provided him the imprisoned trick room ability, but he wasn't using it. So if Suicune and Milotic are providing similar value to the team, and he gets to pick something else out that can help his team in a different way, McFeeds now has 2 different prankster Pokemon that you have to plan for, both of which offer completely different prankster capabilities. His team just gets that much scarier. And Suicune, again, criminal that that thing wasn't drafted in the first place because of how good its qualities, some of its qualities are. It's a very unique Pokemon in terms of its moveset as well. And I honestly think it fits McFeed's team well. And him having the choice between 2 bulky waters is crazy, especially when both of them are so well defined.
Yeah.
I think Thunder touched on it a little bit, but I think sometimes it might provide him with a little bit of uh, too much similarity. Like you might want to. I mean, obviously, Suicune provides the bulky Tailwind, right? But in the matchups where you don't need the bulky Tailwind, it could just be like, why am I not bringing Blastoise here for all the other support moves, right? But I think in terms of this FA pickup overall, it's like it's crazy to see Melodic dropped and still think like this is a good move for his team. But I think it really works out because of the opportunity cost. Like you're picking up Suicune, which is a very similar in terms of power level Pokemon from 2, and then you're upgrading Stantler to Sableye, which gives this team a lot more utility options.
The only thing that McFeeds now has to worry about is he has 0 ghost resists after losing his only normal type.
Well, didn't
So
you game him with
as long as he doesn't
Stantler?
run
Is
into,
Stantler not a normal type?
he no
lost
longer
Stantler.
has the
He did.
Stantler. He has the
Oh, he
Sableye
took.
now.
Oh,
So
yeah. Makes sense.
so as long as he doesn't run into any scary Ghost Terra users for the rest of the season or playoffs, then it's probably perfectly fine. And there's not too many of those in this format, so that's a kind of a good thing. But I definitely agree the opportunity cost here is just really good. Um, let's touch on Waters Whoopers next, because I have some thoughts on some of the changes here. I kind of see what he's doing with the changes, but I don't personally like them.
Yeah.
I kind of felt when I saw these moves that the Cobalion was better than the Escavalier with his team, despite this giving him 2 really good Pokemon in Trick Room, specifically because he does not have a good Trick Room mode. If Meowstic is the Trick Room setter, which it does get Trick Room, right?
Meowstic does get Trick Room. Yes.
Yeah. If that's his only Trick Room setter, I'm not a huge fan, because leading Meowstic with either Snorlax or Escavalier isn't ideal because they can't provide redirection or protection from anything, and you're not guaranteed to get the Trick Room up to let them succeed. I thought the fast mode with Cobalion fit better, even if some typings were a little bit wonky.
Y-
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I think the whole reason why I'd say this Cobalion got dropped in the first place is, I think obviously I was not like the biggest fan. I already said this multiple times that like the Flygon drop for Breloom, but I think because now you dropped Flygon for Breloom, I think you kind of by nature have to drop the Cobalion because now you have 2 fighting types. I know like Cobalion is neutral to Fairy, but like you just don't have any proper Fairy resist, so that why like he has to drop Cobalion for a Escavalier, and is technically, I guess, like I would say see as like a downgrade, but still does give him like a Fairy resist, and also lets him have like another Trick Room Pokemon, even though like it might be a little bit fake. But I think had he kept a Cobalion, think I don't think it would have been like as good. I think the Scavalier pickup is a little bit better, just for like the team, like for the team itself having like another like fairy resist, if that makes sense.
I mean, I kind of disagree with that take, because Waters Whoopers has the same fairy resist core that I have, which is Heatran and Nihilego. Heatran 4x resists fairy, and Nihilego is a giantly bulky, on the specially defensive side, I should say, fairy resist. So, like, he's getting a fairy resist back and still having a weak Pokemon to fairy. I don't think that's the way you have to look at these pickups. I think the way we look at these pickups is just he's trading a fast Pokemon for a slow Pokemon with priority, and a fast Pokemon for a slow Pokemon with no priority, in which his Trick Room is not actually an amazing option to bring. I personally think this is a downgrade.
Fair enough. Cocoa
Yeah,
Puffs.
I think we're in agreement on that. I think we all think it's a downgrade. I think it gets touched on in almost every content piece on this channel, but Water Swoopers, Trick Room mode, fake, pretty unanimous take. I do know Nihilego, I'm pretty sure also gets Trick Room, but
It
do you really
does.
want to run Trick Room on your base 131 Pokemon? Jarvis, cut to the clip of Cocoa Puffs running Trick Room Fluttermane like 2 weeks ago. But
Like, I'm not saying his Trick Room matchup is terrible because he has Pokemon that can fit in, like, play into Trick Room, and he only has to bring one of them to be competent, most likely. But it's not a mode he'll want to run as his primary mode, and that's why I'm not a fan of having the two Pokemon that are just randomly on the team with low speed, and not really having a clear defined role for them.
Yeah, I think my main
They're both
concern
also kind
is
of assault vest hogs, so
like we did
that's
talk
also
about
not
his
ideal.
team being like Trick Room kind of fake, but I think the reason why I think it's like Trick Room fake is more of like it's kind of hard for his team to set up Trick Room because like Meowstic is quite squishy, right? So like obviously it's most likely has to carry like a Mental Herb or a Covert Cloak, or, like one or the other, so like it doesn't get fake out or
Hmm.
taunted and stuff like this, right? But I do think in the right matchup, if he does set up the Trick Room like fairly like free and doesn't like lose too much for it, I do think like Pokemon like Snorlax and the Scavalier could actually like put some like like nice like damage out in the Trick Room setting, depending on like what team he versus, obviously. But it's all about getting that Trick Room
100%.
up.
And that's the difficulty with the setup that he has. Snorlax and Escavalier are bulky enough to stay on the field while Meowstic does it, but Meowstic does not have a good way to guarantee Trick Room with the two of them on the field with it.
Yeah, it's like either
Uh,
you have to commit its terra to it, or like give it a sash, but then like you come with the like realization like, oh, fake out can come out, taunt can come out, right? So if you can find a moment to set up Trick Room and like kind of surprise the opponent and bring like stuff like Scavalier and Snorlax, I think you can probably surprise and cheese a set out of it. But yeah, it's just all about getting up the Trick Room. That's like first and foremost.
Yep. Now, let's touch on the fact that 3 teams in this division made no changes. What do you guys have to say about that?
yeah, you want
Uh
to take it away, Thunder?
I mean, well, we got UMA, Smeargle Wizard Money Game, and SC, right? That made the no trades, or no FA pickups, which is pretty interesting. I mean, some people kind of live and die by like their team. I feel Gamigate's kind of like that person where like he just kind of drafts his team and he just either he makes it work or he doesn't make it work, and most of the time he kind of just makes it work. For the other teams, like for example, Sharky's team, I think he probably could have used one or two FA pickups. I'm not sure what Pokemon would have benefited him the most, but like maybe picking up another like like a fairy Pokemon to get like a what's it called, like a Dragon Resist, another like or immunity because he only has one Dragon Resist. But other than that, I'm not sure what else he could pick up. What do you think, Coco Puffs?
Definitely think he needs to replace the Toxapex. So get something else from Gen 7 to it would have been probably my pick. At the very least that one, and depending on what's left in Gen 7, see if there's a further upgrade you can make somewhere else.
I would have said if he had no, if he didn't have a grass type in Rillaboom, I would have said like maybe he could have picked up Bulu. Gives you like a like it's not Bulu's not like the best of Pokemon, but I feel like it's definitely better than Toxapex, right? Gives you like the Dragon immunity. Only problem is you'd be stacking up on grass types, and not sure if you'd want to do that.
Yeah, and both being grassy terrain options and fulfilling similar roles, um, I I kind of think it's fine that way. But definitely think the Toxapex should have been looked at. Possibly the Aerodactyl should have been looked at because he hasn't brought it to a single game yet this season, so it hasn't been able to fulfill its worth as a extremely fast Pokemon in the format. Um, and then we had the other team, which was
Oh, my wallet.
oh my wallet, which is Kiora, whose team I still don't really understand. I wouldn't even know where to start to look for something else for this team. So I trust that he has an idea on what to do with it by this point. He has brought every single Pokemon he's drafted to a game so far this season, except for Farigarath, which just means he hasn't run the Trick Room variant very efficiently yet.
Yeah, I would say for like a
But
Yeah.
snow
I think
team,
it's fine.
for a snow team, it's like pretty like I have to say it's not so weak to like a million different things for like drafting like last year Ninetales stuff like this. So I think it's probably gonna be more about like how to get the best out of every piece than like looking for moves. I think his team is pretty solid. I think it has like everything on this team that like you probably would want on this like Glacier kind of main carry team.
Yeah, my only
Sure.
complaint from Kiora is he wanted to go for horse draft, and I think there could have been more horses picked up on free agency. That's all I'm saying. Only complaint.
Yeah, I
But
don't see Mag Cargo in there.
in terms of
Poo on you.
Sharky Corp, if Easton, the no change free agency guy, is saying maybe he'd like to see something instead of the Toxapex, maybe that was a pickup he definitely should have looked for. What do you guys think about these teams that made their full 3 free agency pickups? Because obviously this is the division of no change and also all the changes I could take, right? Chiong, I think overall pretty big upgrade in my opinion. I think Savali is such an underrated Pokemon. I can't believe it was still available to pick up.
Yep.
Weavile was sad to go, but Tangrowth gave him some pretty powerful redirection that he's losing with the
Bulky.
Sinister drop off, but obviously picking up the extremely fast Regieleki to work in his or just work with his team.
I mean the
Yeah,
fast
I mean his
Regieleki.
hyper offense just gets
Go ahead.
scarier, right? With the Regieleki now being able to go full bulk essentially because it's beside a Talonflame, right? It's roll compression because he wasn't using the Weavile for fake out. He's already got Tinkaton for that, right? So I think it's just figuring out what after 2 or 3 weeks he kind of figured out what was working on his team and what wasn't and what he was missing, and then he compressed the roles for that so he doesn't have to think too hard about which ones to bring, right? I still think the Furret is a terrible pick. I still think there's better things in Gen 2 for him, but he did ideally like make upgrades with the 3 changes that he made.
Yeah, I can't imagine to see for it coming out very often for Follow Me when you have like Tango, which is much bulkier. I guess the only scenario I could see it is like if it's like a really threatening ghost type out and you wanna redirect that. But yeah, I was a pretty big fan of the Savali pickup. Obviously, he's like a really fucking flexible Pokemon. Can do like almost anything you want on the defensive side or offensive side. And then the Regieleki, I actually quite like the Regieleki here because it gives him like a different way to play the game. He doesn't have to play priority Talonflame Tailwind if the matchup's not good. He can just play Electroweb's Regieleki, which is almost guaranteed to be like the fastest Pokemon in the format. So like he can like put that alongside stuff like Landorus or Urshifu, and just like if the speed is right, he can just go Electrowebs instead of going Tailwind. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then Call Me Claudia, obviously making that Venusaur for Ninetales change we talked about in the draft recap, giving his team a viable Sun option, Sun Setter rather than Sun Abuser, and then picking up the Thwacky as he already has enough Sun threats, which gives him just a little bit of threat with a fake out. And I can't believe the damage I saw come out of a Thwacky Grassy Glide the other day on that replay.
Yeah.
Still providing good damage, priority damage, and then just Blaziken to pick up a Sun threat that he was losing with a Typhlosion, I guess.
Yeah, I would have to say
Well, it
that
gives him a
Thwacky.
physical threat in Sun, right? He didn't have a
Yeah.
physical threat in Sun, so this gives him a different mode for the team that he was lacking a little bit of, which I
Yeah.
think is good. And underrated with the Thwacky change here is he gives Magnezones some Earthquake protection, which is extremely important when that's his only Steel type, and it's 4x weak to ground. So he just has to worry about Earth powers and stuff like that, right?
Yep.
But he also didn't have Fake Out before, which is a very big add in the Thwacky. I think the team is a lot more solid now. It's really scary to think that I might have to face that in an eventual playoffs because I have no clue what I'm going to do about it. But he's 4-0 in the division, so he's obviously doing something right.
Yeah, you pretty much said exactly what I was gonna say about the Thwacky pickup. Yeah, just getting another fake out or having a fake out user is just very nice. And his team, since he is a Sun team, has a couple weaknesses to ground, so like Magnezone and Ninetales can get maybe alleviated a little bit by the grassy terrain, and it can be decently bulky too. Not like too bulky, but like with an Eviolite, it can get pretty decently bulky where it can eat like 1 or 2 hits and stuff. And as Coco said, the damage sometimes from it can be insane. So should we
Yeah.
move on to what do we got next? TS, the next 3 pickup team.
Yeah, this team is. I'm not sure how to think about the pickups here. So first of all, he now has 2 Eviolite users on the team in Clefairy and Sneasel. Now, Sneasel will normally not run Eviolite, but they're both NFEs, so inherently weaker than their counterparts. And that's how they were drafted. He's doubled up on Fake Out users now by picking up both a Sneasel and a Hariyama at the same time. I'm not sure what role Sneasel offers his team, with Hariyama doing the fake out job a lot better, except for the fact that Sneasel is a faster fake out user, so we'll see if that pops into any matches. I am a fan of the Diggersby pickup, sorry. Diggersby is a fantastic Pokemon that is kind of being slept on a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's very strong normal stab, is not resisted by a lot that it's not steel type or a ghost, so it kind of goes crazy with the neutral damage if you can set it up. And he's got Tornadus to help the Diggersby with its speed problems, so it's I think it gives his team another additional mode. But do I understand the other changes? I don't get the Sneasel pickup. I do understand the Hariyama pickup, but
Yeah.
Hariyama also doubles up the fighting type when he has an Urshifu, so the Hariyama really should only come in matchups where he wants the fake out pressure or the trick room mode.
So yeah, I'm not really quite sure. I mean, like the Xatu Sneasel pickup. I'm like, I also have Sneasel, right? I know you did just mention that like there's 2 Pokemon on this team I want to carry Eviolite, but at least me personally, I'm my team with Sneasel. With the times I've brought it, I don't think I brought it one time with Eviolite. I think Focus Sash is way too common. It's like Sneasel kind of reminds me of like kind of like obviously like a way worse Champ Power, where like it kind of just dies to any hit anyways, even if you give it Eviolite, like a Mach Punch or a Vacuum Wave, like Priority moves or like any kind of like heavy hitting move, right? So I always run it with Focus Sash anyways. This could be also like small niche times where you can maybe run Eviolite if you can tank 2 or 3 hits or something like this, right? But I can't imagine that like you would bring Sneasel and Clefairy into the same battle, because like I had like kind of the same issues, like thinking like, oh well, I kind of wouldn't want to bring Sneasel and Meowstic in the same 4, right? And the other thing with Sneasel, I'm not sure like what Zato's really providing for a team, except for like maybe like another like guaranteed Trick Room user. But I feel like you're almost always gonna run Trick Room on Stack Attacker, right? I guess if you had Zatu, it gives Stack Attacker a chance to like click other moves. But I would say Sneasel is like surprisingly like I don't know, like I think it's a pretty decent Pokemon in this format for like being like more of like a NFE Pokemon, obviously, right? Like 95 attack is quite a lot of damage, like for like a baby Pokemon, if that like makes sense. Like you can do decent damage to certain threats with Triple Axle and Knockoff. Has decent support moves, and obviously the Fake Out always being nice, and you can't be flinched, right? You have Inner Focus, so you're always gonna get your Fake Out, or you're always gonna get your move off no matter what, anyways. So I personally think the
Sure,
Sneasel is
but
not. Yeah.
I'm just gonna counter a little bit and say I just don't understand the Sneasel's role on the team. You changed to get a different fake out user in Hariyama,
Yep.
and the Sneasel doesn't really pair great with anything as a lead. And if you're bringing Sneasel to any matches, it's coming as a lead. Like when are you bringing Sneasel beside Urshifu or Goldango or Naganadel? Like maybe with Goldango it's okay, but I don't see it with the other two. And it doesn't benefit from the Clefairy support either. I just feel like the Sneasel pickup is wasted. The other 2 pickups I think are really good, but the Sneasel is a waste.
Fair enough. Cocoa
I
Puffs.
think Sneasel might have the good ice stab, which is rare. That's about the only thing I see from it. The inner focus is nice. I think most times, if he's running the fast mode he needs a fake out, he probably brings the Sneasel. If he's running the trick room with a fake out, he probably brings Hariyama, although he could bring Sneasel in the trick room mode. I think they have a little bit of niches in that, each have a bit of a niche in that sense, but otherwise I think I agree with, I'm kind of in the middle of you two, just agreeing with the points on Sneasel. I think overall, though, the Hariyama is a very underrated pickup. Trick Room Sweeper, just to mention that, and then obviously the Diggersby, very underrated option. Can work with the Follow Me support. Can work with just priority quick attack with Choice Band. Very underrated pickup, especially for a Gen 6 Pokemon where the floor just wasn't really fulfilling any roles in the team. But I think that's about it for Kanto Blue there.
All right.
Yeah,
Let's move on to the next division here, which is
it's
the
our
Johto
conference.
Gold. Yep. And we've got 4 teams with no changes here, so let's start with that. Thunder, no changes for your team. Do you want to talk us through that, your thought process here?
Yeah, so at least for my team, I thought my team was like pretty strong. I was strongly like at the end of the draft when I was picking out last pick, thinking about picking up instead of Moltres like Mr. Mime for a follow me user because I feel like having a follow me user for Spectre is really nice. But at the same time though, it didn't like really help out with my typing and stuff like that. So I ended up going with Moltres. Like it gave me a fire type and it gave me I guess like a bulky Tailwind user. So like maybe instead of using Roaring Moon's Tailwind, I could use Moltres' Tailwind if I want like more of a bulkier Pokemon. I think it's bulkier at least. Um, I was pretty close to also picking up Togekick week 2 or 3 instead of like dropping Sneasel. So have a follow me user would be like pretty nice for Spectre as like it can't be hit with ghost moves obviously. Oh no, is it fairy normal or is it fairy flying? I think it's fairy flying, right? It's changed. But
I
yeah,
think it's
Yeah,
very
very fine.
flying.
yeah, it was just nice to have a redirection Pokemon, but I ultimately just decided to like stay with my team because I've been winning and I've been successful so far. So I didn't see the point of making any FI pickups. Now that could bite me in the butt later, like not having a follow me user for Spectre just to be able to click like Shadow Ball's perma. But like we'll see how my season ends up with this team. I like my team a lot.
Yeah, in terms of no change teams, I think Gardevoir Guardians, Thunder's team, and Snack Talk, awesome Super Squad. I had to work myself through that acronym.
Yeah,
I think both teams we rated very high on the draft. Obviously, Thunder performing very well. Snack Talk hasn't had the best start to a season thus far, um, but I think very valid reasons for no changes to their teams. I think very strong drafts. In terms of Nizumi's neighbors and Amateur Creamies, I think both drafts. I was actually we didn't rank this, but the other admins, the other content creators rated those teams very high. And then in terms of Amateur Alcremies and Nizumi's neighbors, teams that were rated a little lower. And team Nizumi's neighbors actually 3-1.
yep.
Didn't even realize that. So maybe no change there because he is succeeding. And then Amateur Alcremies 2-2, not doing too bad. Both these teams though not rated the best in terms of draft rankings. Maybe a little surprising to see no changes, but I respect the commitment to just playing out their teams for sure.
I'd say I'm pretty surprised for Amateur Cream's not making any pickups because they did have quite a bit of weaknesses in their type chartings, right? Like one resist to dark, one resist to fairy, one resist to ghost, and then no resist. Oh, sorry, one resist to flying, and then no resist to ghost. So I thought maybe like picking up like a steel type for this team or like another Pokemon. Well, I guess he has Kartana, but I think he maybe could have made 1 or 2 FA pickups to kind of pick up the type chart. But if he thinks his team is like pretty good and he can play around it, then like I guess like we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And then in terms of teams that did make the change, start off with Little Caesars here. Easton, what do you think about this Basket Legion for Slowking and the Glamora for Titan changes?
Well, I'm a Slowking Galar lover, so I very much love to see someone pick this up. It's a secondary snow user on this team if snow is ever removed, which is very helpful for Titan and anything else that might tear ice to work with them. So, and it gives him a good Pokemon to use for Trick Room if he ever feels the matchup warrants it, though he doesn't have a great Trick Room abuser other than itself.
Yeah,
I don't hate the change. Glabora for Titan again, it gives him the viable snow option. I do like the pick, though I am kind of disappointed to see Glamora leave because that's a very cool Pokemon to use. He just wasn't using it efficiently, so I think this fits his team a little bit better. I would say it's a clear upgrade for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you there. It's like just it gives him a snow sweeper for his snow team or snow option, right?
Yeah. And
Exactly.
Slowking Glar already being a poison type, right? So dropping Glimmer makes a lot like sense, right?
Hmm.
Castalia Chandelures with the 3 changes here, right? Um, this one when as I was typing it, I was kind of confused, like uh, in a couple areas. Jelson for Chandelure, I don't hate. It's just a bit of a side grade. He gives himself a better special sweeper under the Trick Room. Still a Trick Room setter, slightly different typing. I believe he already has the water type, right?
He has no water
Oh
type.
no, he has no water type.
Yeah.
That makes it a little bit worse for me. A bulky water type's always nice to have. But then the Swellow for Xcloud really just didn't make any sense to me. I guess he saw it as leaning a little bit more into his Trick Room mode with the Xcloud, but Xcloud not the biggest threat under Trick Room. I think you're bringing just all the other choices almost every time. Does give him, it's like he already has a normal type in Ursa Luna. It just didn't make too much sense for me. Obviously, it's Gen 3, not much available for power, but I think overall these changes left me feeling a little more confused than anything.
I have to definitely agree with that. I would say I like the Anamis T pickup. I think it was a really good pickup for his team. It just gives him like a better trick room like threat under trick room like as a sweeper. I think the Swallow for Exploud pickup is kind of like a no-burger change, really, to be honest. I think those Pokemon are just like kind of not coming anyways, right? Like I know Exploud is a little bit slower, so it can play in Trick Room, but like, let's be honest, like his other threats are coming in Trick Room, right? Like Enamor's T, Ursaluna, Iron Hands, Cresselia, like these Pokemon are most likely coming over Exploud, right? So I see that change as like kind of like a whatever change. And then the Jellicent for Chandelure, I mean, it's a pretty important pickup. Like it is his mascot, in that sense, but at the same time, I don't think I would have wanted to see him get rid of his only water type, and especially being a bulky water type that can set up a Trick Room. I was just not a big fan of that. I know Chandelure gives him like a different way to play the game with Trick Room as a sweeper, but I feel like he has already had like a couple Pokemon that can already do that job, and like the ones I already named already. So I would have liked to kept or like let them to stay with Jellicent, and it's like a bulky water type, so it's another way to set up Trick Room if you don't want to set up Trick Room with Cresselia, if that makes sense.
Yep. I will agree partially with both of you, but I look at it a little bit differently. The Xcloud pick is kind of a replacement for Swallow in the sense that I think that with this team they kind of plan to do the same thing. Both of them can spam Boom Burst next to a Ghost type Pokemon. And while I think the Jellicent for Chandelure is an upgrade in the way he wants to play the game, I think him not having a bulky water type and instead having an Xcloud in that slot is a clear downgrade to the team. Uh, I don't think Xcloud plus Chandelure or Xcloud plus any Ghost type Pokemon will really surprise anybody, because if you see Xcloud, that's the only set it can bring.
Yeah.
And it's only got 91 special attack, so it's by no means powerful, especially in a format where we have access to some of the strongest Pokemon ever released in the Gen 9 field especially, right? Uh, I do like the Enamor's pick. I think the Baxcalibur was not doing anything with this team specifically. It gives him better typing and a more offensive option than the Clefable will offer. But
Agreed. Yeah.
the other two things, not a fan. Even if I like Chandelure and what it can offer, if you pick up Chandelure with something other than Xcloud, I might say this is a clear upgrade, but it's just nothing for me.
Yeah, maybe if the Exploud could have been like a water type, I think it could have like maybe I could like understand the changes of dropping Jellicent, but yeah, just having another, I guess like it's another option as a sweeper, but I think on this team I'd value a second Trick Room user and in Jellicent where it can't be faked out. First of all, I guess Chandelure is the same thing, but Jellicent's also bulky and can provide more support for the other Trick Room sweepers, in my opinion. But shall we move on to the next team?
Certainly.
SZ, which is Chris. I
I, I
have
think first I think first talk about this last free agency, then we could talk about the trade. Just because I think the trade was also going to cover Koopa's pickups as
fair
well.
enough. Okay.
What do you think about the Hariyama for a Lumais change? I think it gave Sage maybe another option to run with his like, whereas Hariyama he might not bring it all the time with his Chen Pao team, like he just has better physical threats. The Illumice gave him like a bit of a side grade in terms of team's options, and then I think the Bronzong for Azelf is just an upgrade for me. Maybe not in terms of typings, but in terms of just like uh, multifaceted threat.
Yeah,
For what his team is and being like hyper offense, I definitely agree with the Bronzong for Azelf, but I'm not sure, even with that said, that I agree with the Hariyama for Illumice because that leaves his team without a fake out user, which means
he
prepping
has
for
War
the
Turtle.
team is made a little bit easy. You're right. He does have War Turtle. Okay. Well, scratch that thought, but he also loses his fighting Pokemon. So if he's gonna bring Silvally fighting, that can happen. But I liked what Hariyama brought as a bulky fake out user to his team. It also gave him a clear option in Trick Room if his opponent ever sets it. And now his best Pokemon in Trick Room is Wartortle, which, as we all know, is an NFE and does not have very high attacking stats. It is a support Pokemon purely, and he will struggle in Trick Room now, especially with the Bronzong gone. I would have been fine with the Hariyama staying. Um, on top of that, he now has two prankster Pokemon. Yes, that makes it a little tougher to prep for, but he has made his Trick Room matchup a lot worse.
Yeah, personally, as a more like balanced offense slash a hyper offensive personality like player, I personally do like these pickups on Illumise and Azelf. I guess Illumise just kind of gives him like a priority tailwind user for this team, but I'm not sure if he really needed it. I guess like it helps with like Lando T and like other Pokemon, but like you have pretty fast Pokemon in Polt and Chien-Pao already, and Ogremon's I guess what 110, which is pretty decent. And then for the Bronzong and Azelf, I think it's just a straight up better pickup to be honest, because like you still get the Trick Room in Prison with an Azelf if you want that variant still. You do lose a little bit of bulk, but this team is more of a hyper offensive team, so I think Azelf just like adds a little bit more to this team, and it can run physical obviously, but like the physical moves like not that many good physical attacks, but it can run physical, it can run special, it can also run support. So I personally think these are strictly, for at least my opinion, strict upgrades for the team.
Yeah. And that being said, over to this trade now, or two trades for
I
Syracuse
have
Fire
to
Ores.
say, it needs to be said first. I don't know how Chris always ends up into some kind of like illegal trade, whether it favors him or doesn't favor him. It's crazy to me that this guy's always getting some kind of crazy trade 2 seasons in a row now.
Yeah.
I don't like trades, I'll be honest. Despite me being an FA hater, as someone who never does free agency picks, I'm even more of an hater for trades because stuff like this can happen.
Yeah, I mean, let's start with the first trade to Koopa. Who do you guys think is coming out ahead of that trade? Obviously, this happened right after the draft, probably planned during the draft, trading their first two picks to each other. Chi-Yu and Lele for Tapu Koko and Iron Bundle. Do you guys think it's an even trade? Do you think someone came out ahead on that one?
I have to say, like I feel like it's more closer to even because like I feel like both people kind of just got what they want for the team. Like yes, Chiyu could like be nice on the Chris's team with like these other special attackers, but I feel like Tapu Koko and Bundle like it's just the electric terrain team, so like he kind of got what he wanted in the sense of his like style for his team, and I feel like Koopa also just got it like what he wanted because he gets a Lele with Halucha combo, and then he also has Chi with all the other special attackers that he has on his team. So personally, I think it's more closer to an even trade. What do you think, Easton?
I think it's more even than some people are probably going to think, but I still think like Koopa's team looks better from the trade than Chris's. That's that's what my thought goes.
Fair enough. I guess
Yeah,
time to
I
talk
think it
about the
just
illegal
comes
trade.
down to yeah, fair enough. Go
The
ahead, Thunder. You have very strong opinions in this one.
Yeah, I don't see why. What's the team name again? I forgot the
Kentucky
team name. Yeah,
Crowbats.
Kentucky Crowbats. I'm not sure why Kentucky Crowbats just gave way up their Annihilate for an Iron Treads. I feel like he massively lost on that trade. Annihilate just provides so many different things for a team, right? Like you have so many variants. It can be like a carry with Rage Fist with beat up strategies, or it can be like a Scarf Final Gambit user. I feel like Scarf Final Gambit users are very niche and like they're very like underused, and especially Annihilate that having like a decent amount of bulk and has decent speed where it can outspeed certain things with a scarf. I feel like it's just like a really good thing to have and just like say, oh, I don't like this Pokemon, it counters my team. I'm just gonna get rid of it and trade it with my Annihilate. That's like at least my personal opinion. I think he just completely like lost out on this trade.
I don't disagree. This trade does give him a steel type, which he didn't have before the trade, though. So I'm at least going to give him that. He did patch the steel type up a little bit, but we'll get to the Kentucky Crowbats on the next slide. Um, I absolutely think it's illegal. Completely lopsided trade. You should have had to throw in like 4 draft picks with that.
For real.
I mean, just in terms of pick order, right? I'm not sure where Annihilate was drafted, but certainly much earlier than Iron Treads, or at least expected draft, if not actual expected draft position. Annihilate way ahead of Iron Treads. So just funny to see in a 1v1 trade. Um, but hopefully we'll see how those changes work out for both teams moving forward in the season. Hopefully Kentucky Crowbats can get himself back into playoff pictures, and Chris having a pretty decent season so far. We'll see how the Annihilate affects his team.
Yeah, shall we move on to the next slide?
Yeah.
Certainly.
All right, time to move on to the Johto Silver group, which is your guys' division. So, how do you guys feel with all these pickups? And so I guess everyone made. Oh no, Easton didn't make a trade. Of course, Easton didn't make a change, but everyone else made a trade. So, what do you guys think?
I think it's crazy that our division had almost every single person make 3 changes. There are a couple teams with 1 or 2, and me with 0, but a lot of change in this division. My gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
I think just maybe even just a product of how close the division is. Right now, we'll see later as we dive into the standings, but very close teams trying to edge out, whatever advantage they can find to try to get themselves in playoff contention.
yeah. So I guess we can go in order. We'll talk with your team, Coco. So, how do you make of this take a ton for Darmanitan and G? What was your thoughts here?
It felt bad. It felt bad because I really wanted to prove how Tinkaton could be a great Pokemon, and it got some great value with Gigaton Hammers in my first couple weeks. And I do think it's a really good Pokemon, and maybe in a different world that could have fit on my team. The issue I found is that I have Blastoise, right? So when I need Fake Out, who am I bringing? Blastoise, because I also have Follow Me, and it's a bulky water type. And then when I want to bring a steel type to do damage, yes, Gigaton Hammer hurts a lot, but I can only use it every other turn. I'm probably just bringing my Scissor with Bullet Punch, right?
Yeah,
So it just came down to Tinkaton being a good roll compression for my team, but actually bad because the rolls it was compressing, I'm just gonna pick the other Pokemon in every situation. Like I have the space on my team to bring both those Pokemon almost every week, so I don't need Tinkaton fulfilling both of those spots. And then I think Darmanitan Galar just gives me another attacker that everyone thought I should draft with my last pick for my team to work in the Tailwind mode, to work just as a fast Pokemon outside of Tailwind. So
yeah, I would have to agree. Like after like I know obviously like we talked about a lot of your talk about a lot about your FA options, obviously off camera, and definitely agree with this Darman G pickup. I think it's a pretty underrated Pokemon, and I think, like you said, Tailwind with Darman G could go pretty hard. Plus, you also have Blastoise, right? With Follow Me, it's another way you can play this team with, right? So, a lot of different ways to pick up, a lot of ways to play with Darmanitan G. And I kind of agree with you. It does feel a little bit sad to drop Tinkaton, but I don't know personally if I was in like your shoes, I'd still be very happy with this pickup because I feel like it just gave your team another Pokemon that the enemies have to deal with as a damage dealer. Like, not only did they have to deal with Fluttermane and Urshifu, now they also have to deal with Darmanitan that hits pretty hard too with the Guerrilla Tactics and stuff like this.
yeah,
Easton?
just a strong ice type.
Yeah,
Yep, I'm gonna agree with that. Tinkaton was just not being as useful because its role was already being fulfilled by other members on the team, and you've drafted something else that is unique in that there are some matchups in which you're gonna want to bring it, unlike Tinkaton. So a clear upgrade, despite obviously being sad to see that Pokemon be dropped. It is what your team needed for diversity reasons.
Yeah. I guess moving down to the Shelmet boys, still one of the best team names I can remember in league history.
Yeah,
Um,
quite a big fan
Typhlosion
of the
for
picture.
Azumarill, Dondozo for Hatterene.
So I'll go first on it this time. So after the first week when I talked with Dory, because I cooked him with double roar lead to prevent his trick room team from functioning, we talked about it and we realized his team does not have a second trick room user. But not only did we talk that, but we talked that the balance mode on his team with the Incineroar specifically is very strong. So what he's done with these free agency pickups is he's patched up both versions of the team. He doesn't need the Typhlosion for the fast mode because he already has a fire Pokemon that fulfills the role differently, but in a better way in doubles in Incineroar, and he doesn't really need the Ghost Stab. So he doesn't really need the Typhlosion. And then the Azumarill is extremely good with the Clefairy and with the Amoonguss redirection support, and also functions really good under Trick Room with how slow it is naturally. And then the Hatterene is an incredible Trick Room setter to go along with the Farigiraf. So now he has more reliable ways and different ways to set Trick Room that are a little harder for teams to prepare for. Not to mention, Hatterene can also function under balance, even as a slower Pokemon. So clear upgrades for me. It's patched up the big issue that we was talked about in the initial video. I think the team is a lot better now.
Yep, I definitely have to agree there. I think the biggest winner for his pickups got to be this Hatterene. It just gives him a second way to up trick him, like Easton said, and now you have to kind of deal with like two different ways to stop this trick room, right? Because if you're into the Farigiraf, you cannot use priority moves to stop it from setting up trick room. Like you can't use fake out obviously, right? And then if you're into Hatterene, you also can't click taunt into it either, right? So like his trick room setters are like very resilient and are like pretty forgiving to set up trick room, right? There's not a lot of ways to just stop it outright, right? 'Cause I'm pretty sure as well if you go for roar and it's the Hatterene that's setting up trick room, it just roars you out, right? Because that's how magic bounce works, I believe.
I believe so, but either way, if he leads Hatterene for Farigiraf, you are not stopping Trick Room against both of them.
Fair enough. I didn't think about setting what's it called like using Hatterene and Farigiraf out at the same time. I forgot Hatterene is like a good expanding force, or sorry, like just a great trick room sweeper in itself. So that's another good way to like adapt and play this team out. So I personally have no problems with these pickups. I think they're pretty good. Uh,
Yeah, I have
Coco?
to agree with everything you guys said. Nothing to, I mean, I think the balance in this team, balance in the trick rooms with these changes, and I don't want to prepare for either of them, and I'm gonna have to.
yeah.
All right,
Moving
let's
on.
move on to our friend the Larvesta Legion with the Breloom being dropped for slacking and the Zoror Kisui being dropped for Wheezing Galar. So we have another way. We've already seen multiple Wheezing and Regigigas teams. Now we've got the Wheezing and slacking option. Do you guys think this gave his team new life, or like, what do you think of the pick?
It's a hard one. I would have to say I'm probably favoring the pickups. It kind of sucks to drop Zoroark. I think it's a pretty undervalued Pokemon. You know, Coco Puffs made good use out of that Pokemon. But I mean, having the Slacking and Weezing Galar too is like a pretty like deadly force to have as a lead if you're not prepared for that. So I would have to say it's definitely probably an upgrade because I think it's probably just better to have Slacking than Braylon, right? Because like I guess you have like Spore and this, but like I don't know, in my opinion, I don't think Braylon provides much besides like Spore support. And I think Slacking, as like it might not always like come, I just think the threat of Slacking plus Wheezing is just such a great like threat that the team has to prepare for. So I have to say I like these pickups.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think it's just another mode for it to for people to prepare for against this team. as I'm doing this week, I can see that lead being very annoying. Um, in terms of abilities you're shutting off on your team, with the wheezing, I don't think it's too bad. There's nothing else you're really that upset about turning off. Um, maybe the prankster on Grimmsnarl could be kind of annoying if you're doing that. But yeah, I think it's all right. I don't think the Braylon was doing much for the team. As much as I love Zoro or Kasui, especially with another ghost type on the team. I think if you're gonna pick up the slacking for Breloom, you gonna want the Weezing Galar, right?
Yeah, I have to agree. I don't think there's any
Mhm.
abilities you really care about on this team to shut off, right? Because like, if I'm correct, Beast Boost does not get shut off by the neutralizing glass. I'm not sure how Age Slash's ability works. I'm assuming that also just does not get shut off by wheezing. Oh, sorry, neutralizing gas. And then Orgrippon, I guess,
It
lose water
it
absorb.
does not get shut down.
Yeah. And then like with the Grimmsnarl Prankster thing, you're never going to like it would be kind of like illegal to just leak
Yeah,
Grimmsnarl plus Wheezing, right? So like that's another thing you probably just don't care about, right? So I think overall the Wheezing fits
yeah.
pretty well on the team. Um, yeah. So if there's no
Um,
other things, we can move on to
and then
Koopa's team.
moving down
Oh,
to KT.
yep,
Yeah, moving down to KT. Obviously, we talked about this trade earlier.
yep,
I don't think any other thoughts besides just good trade for both teams. The guys think they got what they wanted. Using
yep.
2 free agency tokens. Philadelphia Fanpies, though. Lucaria for Infernape, Chandelure for Escavalier, and Delphox for Aromatisse. Besides the Lucaria for Infernape upgrade, I guess I see you're getting a fire type. You want to get rid of your other fire type in Chandelure, but um, and in Delphox, I guess, just you don't want too many fire types. I don't know. I think it's all right. Good. Aromatisse has proved to be an all right Trick Room setter for him. He's done pretty well with it.
Yep.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I do
I
remember at
think it
beginning. Go
gave him
ahead.
an additional mode, which I would just
Y-
say it gives him an additional mode for Trick Room, which he really wants to have with Ursaluna. So now he's got the multiple modes where he's got the fast mode with Shifu, Murkrow, and Latios, and he's got the slow mode with Aromatisse, Escavalier, and Brute Bonnet. So it can be kind of tough to plan for both, and we've seen him bring both modes to games. So he just uses whichever mode is best in the matchup. So I think it's good changes overall to the team. But again, I'm sad to see the Chandelure dropped because that Pokemon is just so good. Um, really sad to see.
Yeah. Originally, Fini actually did message me at the beginning of the season, thinking about like what FA pickups he can make and stuff like this. And while I was going through his team, it felt pretty hard to make FA pickups because like the whole problem that he had in the first place, right, was his like type chart, and with only 3 FA pickups, with how his team was already laid out in the first place, like how he drafted, it was pretty hard to like drop and pick up Pokemon without becoming really weak to another thing. So I think overall, like the pickups were pretty decent. Like they're like pretty okay. Like Ormatisse has fared pretty good for his team and setting up Trick Room, and then like Infernape always like decent Pokemon. Escavalier, pretty interesting one. I guess it's like helps with its Trick Room team. Like gives him another sweeper. So I think it's like pretty okay. I think he still needs to find a way to combat these like weaknesses that he has in his type chart. So yeah.
Yeah,
Any other
agreed.
thoughts?
Moving on to KC here.
Not with the fan
Oh,
piece. Let's go to the Kentucky Crowbats.
Okay. So we were talking about the trade, right? We got the
Um,
Annihilate for Iron
so
Treads, right? And then we can
yeah, the
talk about
illegal
their
trade, and then we've got
Regigigas for Torterra, Rabombi for Blacephalon. Any thoughts on those?
um, I don't hate removing the Regigigas, but it does mean that the Weezing's neutralizing gas has a little bit less value with this team. It's mainly for turning off opponents' abilities. It's not really doing anything for your team. So Weezing has to be used in a different way. Um, and I do quite like the Torterra on this team. Uh, but if I'm not mistaken, he doesn't have any redirection. So Torterra might be a bit of a Terra hog if it's being brought to any games, because Ice is a very common move to have in a move set, right? So that's fine. And then Rabombi for Blazefalon. I mean, I'll be honest, I like Rabombi a lot, and he's given up his only fairy Pokemon for an additional fire Pokemon. Yes, I understand what the role of Blazefalon is on this team, but I just felt that Rabombi fit a better role in what it was supposed to offer.
Yeah, fair enough.
I was kind of neutral on the Rabombi,
Mhm.
just because
But
the like it all it really wants to do is set Tailwind, and it does provide this. I guess it does provide the Sweet Veil as a form of priority block, but it's not the strongest special attacker, even though it is fairy type, and it's not the best switch in if you're trying to use it as a fairy type defensively. So it wasn't the biggest deal for me to trade it for Blacephalon, give him like an option to work under the Tailwind with Tornadus, a different option. Um, but either way, I think it didn't affect much for me on his team.
Yeah, I think you might say a shield dust where it blocks the secondary effects on
Shield
moves.
Dust.
Yeah, so not being fake, that was
Yeah.
pretty nice and all the other stuff. But yeah, Rombi kind of feels bad because, like, one, you already had a Tailwind user and never going to really bring it over to Nis for a Tailwind user, right? But then number two, it feels bad to also just drop it because then you just lost your Fairy type. I would have liked to seen them somehow weave in, like, a Fairy type pickup from, like, maybe another different generation or in one of his other picks. So I'm kind of, like, iffy on it. Blacephalon, I really like the Pokemon. I just don't know how good it is in the VGC setting. Like obviously, like has like the mind blowing like ability, which is pretty nice, like the move and stuff like this. I'm not sure how much you can cook with the Blacephalon, right? So and then on the Torterra pickup, kind of feels bad because like you had a Weezing and you just kind of dropped it. Your only kind of like Weezing abuse with neutralizing gas for Torterra. So I don't know. I don't know how to make these trades. Like I guess like maybe I would say it's like a side grade, if not like maybe like a downgrade picks, maybe is like what I would say. It's a little bit, I don't know, it's like iffy for me. I'm not quite sure to be honest.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you.
Alright.
And then lastly, the Sansarino Sandiles. Aerodactyl for Gengar, Como-O for Mimikyu, and Crocodile for Gouging Fire. What do you think of these trades, Thunder?
Yeah, Aerodactyl for Gengar, pretty interesting pickup. I think he already had a Tailwind user, right? Because Aerodactyl does get Tailwind use. Does he? Yeah, he had Corviknight, but I guess it's kind of the same. The only difference is one is bulky, one is faster. So I'm fine with that. It gives him another like damage dealer. And then Como for Mimikyu. It's kind of, I don't know. It's interesting because I would have liked to maybe him to stick with Como because I feel like it provides more damage for the team. I guess Mimikyu can provide the Trick Room if he wants to play Trick Room, but I don't think a lot of his Pokemon want to really play in Trick Room. Like his team's like not so fast, or sorry, not so slow, but it's not so fast, right? So like maybe there's like some weeks where you could play Trick Room if that makes sense. And then the Crocodile for Gouging Fire, I think just strictly that's just probably a better pickup. Obviously, right? Gouging Fire being the better Pokemon. Yeah. Um, in terms of pickups as a whole, I think it's probably I would say they're probably upgrades in my opinion. Any thoughts, Easton?
I would definitely agree. His team really needed another special attacker to go with the Heliolisk, which only hits 109 special, so it's not even that powerful. The Gengar fits that role to a T, being a fast special attacker with a very unique typing and some very interesting support moves. So for that, I definitely agree that's the right play. Como Mimikyu kind of iffy on. Mimikyu usually to Trick Room teams with its unique ability, but I don't believe the the San Sereno Sandials really have a good Trick Room mode, other than Mimikyu with King Gambit, which may not even be enough.
Does it get in prison?
Crocodile for Gouging Fire, 100% agree that's a necessary requirement. No.
Okay, yeah, so no trick room in
I
prison
don't think
even.
so. The Gouging Fire was yeah. Gouging Fire is important because he doesn't have a fire Pokemon or a dragon, or well, he technically has 2 dragons now, but Gouging Fire is a different variant for a Pokemon that he needs. And his team doesn't really need the Intimidate with how physically bulky naturally a lot of his Pokemon are. I definitely think he made upgrades to the team. Are they enough to push his team into playoff standard? I'm not so sure about that just yet.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough journey for
Yeah,
him,
I
right?
think
Being 1-3. Go
yeah,
ahead.
I think just rough start to the season. Hopefully, I think he could pull it back through. I think notably the team already very weak to Fairy, so good to see Como and Crocodile drop to help it out a little bit, alleviate that, and then the Gengar pickup too. Gouging Fire neutral, obviously. I think the Gouging Fire is just a really good pickup. I love Crocodile, but I think using it as the free slot wasn't the best choice, especially when the Gouging Fire was still on FA. I think it's a good addition to his team, and I'm excited to see what he might be able to pull off in this later half of the season.
Yeah. All right. That is all the trade and FA pickups. Shall we move on to the important part, the standings? Welcome back, guys. We're here with the conference, the standings that we have right here. We got the red, blue, gold, and silver group. So, what do you guys think? Who do you think is hot right now, and who has surprised you the most?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best way is probably go group by group. Starting off with red. Julian Jumpluff's up there at 4-0. Hasn't even dropped a game. I think, like we mentioned, but sad to see that my record might be gone after just one season. But he's really killing it up there, and against like a lot of strong opponents too, right? So you can't even claim it's Mickey Mouse. He's doing really well, and it almost seems like he's in everyone's heads.
Yeah.
Um, and then just in terms of teams I might be disappointed from based on draft or based on like expectation in this group, really sad to see Jay Money down there, New York Yankees, with his Chiyu Spectre draft, and Buff Shaman I was expecting to be a little higher than 2-2 at this point in the season.
Yeah, I would have to
Um,
agree.
yeah,
Yeah, Scrappy Knight, Julian Jump Plus, right? I think he took a pretty big break from season 3 to season like now, which is season 9. So coming back and just looks like he didn't forget anything. He's just smurfing on everybody in this group, and yeah, your record is in jeopardy, Mr. Cocoa
yeah,
Puffs. It's not looking very good for you, but yeah. Rest of the teams, like everyone looks like it's like a very competitive group. The red group. You got like I guess there's 2 people at the bottom that are not having it so far, like a good season so far, but Strict 3-1. South Austin Dugongs has been playing pretty well as well. I think his only loss is to Drooling Jump Bluffs anyway, so he's been playing pretty well as well. What do you think, Easton? You got any thoughts on this red group?
I definitely didn't expect the South Austin Dugongs to be this high. He's definitely proved to the community that the Feraligatr pick was not necessarily a fluke. He's piloted it pretty well. But he does have a very strong end of season with his last 3 matches being against Fortress, Buff Shaman, and Strict. He's already played the 2 in the basement there, plus the New York Yankees. So his schedule is going to be very difficult going forward. Um, yeah, also a little bit disappointed with J Money. His position in the standings expected him with the team that he drafted to be a little higher, but I think this is kind of where we expected this group to be based on our previous experiences with some of the people we know in the group. Um, and based on the drafting, I think we kind of foresaw where Major and D Busy might have ended up. But it really is their battling that has brought them here, not necessarily the drafting.
Yeah, I have to agree. I'm also quite disappointed in the J Money performance. It was like very excited for his team, but looks like he's just not having a good go at it. I'm not sure if it's like I personally thought maybe it's like a speed control like issue, but like maybe a little bit of an execution issue as well. I thought with this team maybe he could like contest like at least to be top two. And I also had originally Corrido leading this group at the beginning, but seems like Corrido's like having like an okay season. Like he's kind of like I don't know if the word's coin flippy, but he's definitely like a little 50-50 right now, like 2-2. So that was a little bit interesting for me. I thought at least if he was not first place, I thought maybe he'd be second. So yeah,
And I think
I
from
just,
the matches he's dropped, they've been to strong opponents, at least standing wise and execution wise too, and they've been close matches. So
fair
really
enough. Yeah.
the context behind his score is shows a little bit more of the story. But yeah,
certainly. I just don't think Carrito has exactly figured out how to pilot his team yet. Notably, he has yet to bring Sylveon to a single match, which is an incredible defensive Pokemon in VGC that can also put out some good damage. Kind of crazy to see that not see any use. I assume when he figures out how he wants to pilot the team, that we'll see this record bounce back.
Yeah, he still has a couple of tough opponents. I get what so we have Strict, South Austin Dugongs, and Fortress is starting to like ramp up as well. So definitely
All
not.
teams ahead of him in the standings,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely still has to put in a lot of work to can guarantee himself a spot in the playoffs. But yeah, we can I guess move on to the blue group now. Yeah.
yeah.
So, Call Me Cloudy having a pop-off season as well, even ahead of our commissioner McFeeds. What's our thoughts on that?
This season has kind of proven, despite previous seasons where weather teams have not really performed well, that despite so many weather teams having been drafted this season, the one that the ones that we thought were the strongest built from the start are the ones that have gone to the top. I think we had Call Me Cloudy around the middle range, but one of the stronger weather teams in the format. And I think people just haven't been able to figure out how to counteract it once he fixed his team with the Ninetales free agency pickup.
Yeah, his I'm pretty sure his Fluttermane also has like a lot of kills. Like he's been frying with the Fluttermane this season. I think let's see, he has 9 kills with Fluttermane. Oh, he has more kills with Walking Wake actually. So like that duo is providing a lot of threat for his team.
Yeah, I mean, I think this group is probably out of all of them the most, quote unquote, cut and dry. I think really who we're gonna see make playoffs is definitely these top two, and then and Derizen now actually has the tiebreaker above McFeed. So if they have equal differential, he'll be above them. But it's really between this last spot between Gamek, Water, and Chiang,
Yep.
who's gonna make it. Um, I want to say I'm leaning towards Gamagate as of right now, but I could see Water having a comeback for the later half of the season. It just really depends on what their matchups are. I have to look at the schedule here.
Yeah, even the Risen could like even give up a spot, or I feel like McFeet's and Risen are both not safe either because if they have like a couple of bad weeks as well, technically Gamma and Water and maybe Chiong could go over them, but I think Chiong is a little bit in a harder position since he's like -3 in his plus minus. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely a war for those the last two spots for sure, and maybe even the second spot, maybe.
it looks like
The pro-
Gamagate still has McFeed's, Call Me Claudie, and Sharky Corp on his schedule. So still some tough matches there. And then Water has Cheong, Kiora, and the Risen. So it's definitely just a matter of like winning 2 or 3 of those battles for either team is going to put them above each other.
Yeah,
right, and even McFeeds doesn't have a great schedule left, where he has to face his nemesis Gamag this week,
El
as well
Clasico.
as the last week of the season he's got Call Me Claudie. So, call. Speaking of which, Call Me Claudie has a very tough end of schedule with McFeeds and Gamag in the last 3 matches.
Yeah. But I think he just needs to win one of his last 3 matches to just guarantee to be in playoffs. Cause a 5-5 and 2 record probably just guarantees him in anyway. So As long as he wins one of those matches, he's probably chilling.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of Kaora and Chong winning out, if they do so, they definitely could see themselves sneaking in with some differential or tiebreakers of some sort. But it's definitely going to be an uphill battle for them. But I'm hoping the best for them in terms of making each match close going into week 7.
Yeah, they're definitely probably gonna need some help from some other like opponents, like getting some wins against the people above them, like Water and Gamma Gate and stuff like this. But yeah,
Should we go on to gold group here?
yeah, let's
Sure.
go. So that's my group.
Yeah,
Uh,
you wanna start this one, Easton? Let's not let Thunder glaze himself too much.
um, this group has turned out to be a lot different than we kind of expected from the initial video. Chris being at the middle of the group, where we kind of expected him to be at one of the top 2 teams in the group, is surprising. And no, Chris, it's not because you misclicked. Okay. Um, and then seeing Nizumi in second is also extremely surprising because that's another weather team we commented on that we did not think, based on the draft, was extremely strong. But he's shown up every week with some very interesting sets, and he's taken his opponents by surprise to get some good clear wins.
yeah,
Yeah,
this group, I didn't know what to make out of this group because like I remember people saying at the beginning of the season that like blue and silver obviously like they're probably the hardest groups, then it's gold and then it's red, but I really feel like the gold's kind of like I don't know how to say it. Like obviously I'm undefeated, but like I still have matches to go. But I thought Chris definitely would be like contesting me for first. Like I thought he was going to be first place to be honest, and like I'd be second place. Um, I didn't even think also Nozumi's team was like that good, so I didn't think he'd perform that well. But I guess props to him. He's like playing it pretty well as well. It's an interesting group.
I think the surprise from gold group is just the rookie strength, right? Seeing Nizubi and Strawberry Frog this high up in the standings when, based on their draft and based on just not knowing much about them, we kind of had them towards the lower end of the group. But I'm super happy to see these rookies standing out and letting people know, hey, we are here and we're not just fighting for this last playoff spot. You're gonna have to fight us for these top playoff spots, right?
Yeah, this Sage at 2-2, not he's like not too bad for being on vacation, right? So that's pretty nice. Like still contesting for a playoff spot, which is pretty nice. It's gonna be probably a close fight for that last spot, right, between Sage and Chris and Amateur All Creamies. I guess there's 2 spots left they can fight for. It's gonna
Well, I,
be
I think the 1 and 3 group people are also not out here. Like, this group is very even on the bottom end of the standings right now. Even someone just winning 2 out of 3 of the last matches could put them at a 4-3 and potentially in the playoffs, right?
yeah.
Um, so it can be tough. I still think it's quite likely that Chris makes playoffs from this position, and I'm not sure who to think would be more likely to make playoffs from here between Strawberry Frog and Sage, but I think Strawberry Frog has definitely played better in the matches that I've watched. We did see some questionable play from all around and at the bottom of this group, I think, though.
Hmm.
I'm super surprised to see Castelia Chandelures rounding up the pack here at the bottom of Gold Group. Just based on like conversations with him preseason and just kind of learning a little bit about him as a Pokemon player, and with his draft, obviously it is just hard trick room, right? Really, with his team, um, he still has a really insane 4 Pokemon core with the Iron Hands, the Cresselia, the Ursaluna, and the Smeargle and Amorous even.
Enamorous to yeah.
So it's surprising to see him at the bottom here, but I guess that's just kind of what happens when you do have a team that's really set on the direction it wants to go and doesn't have as much diversity. Your opponents kind of come with an idea of like, hey, I think these 4 Pokemon are coming every time, and they can prep against that, right? So I'm interested to see how his free agency pickups will affect him going into the last couple weeks here. and if he can make a turnaround of some sort, it's going to be hard to make playoffs for him. He's going to have to win out, but I hope the best for him.
I did find one of his matches really interesting. I can't remember which week it was, but he set Trick Room in a position where he shouldn't have set Trick Room, and it let his opponent pop off. So even though his team is a hard Trick Room, he lost to Trick Room. Um,
Yeah.
he definitely needs to go back to the drawing board on what his team can do here. And if Trick Room is not a good option to play in the match, for example, if someone brings a slower team to combat you, play balance. Your team plays balance decently. You're not super fast, but like Clefable enables any of your sweepers to just sit there and do damage as long as that doesn't die to spread moves.
Yeah, even like Smeargle, like clicking Spore or Follow Me to fake out support, like he still has ways to play outside of balance. Plus, his team is really, really bulky, right? Like Ursaluna, Iron Hands, even like Enamorus and Celesteela, really bulky Pokemon, right? So like necessarily, even if they're not going fast, they're not gonna really go down to like 1 or 2 hits, right? Like they're gonna like hit back very hard too, even if they're not faster. So there's definitely other ways to play for this team.
Yep, it is still hard Trick Room. It's what I would consider seeing the draft, but that doesn't mean you have to set Trick Room in every match. You can play it differently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I also don't want to discount Snack Talk and Fenbach here, right? Little Caesar's awesome super squad. Snack Talk, obviously on the lower end of that conversation, he hasn't had like the best play, but I really think that knowing him as a player, like if he locks in, I think he could win some matches, especially with how strong I view his draft. And then regarding Fenbach, Little Caesar's Pizza, you see that 1 and 3, but then you go over to the next two columns and you see -2 on the game differential and -2 on the kill differential. Every match he's played has been very close, even the ones he's lost. So opponents can't treat him like he's an easy match going from week to week. If they come in unprepared, he will beat them.
Yeah, definitely agree with that.
And he's shored up his team with the free agency picks as well. So his team is ready to go. Unfortunately, he does play Thunder in one of his last matches, so we'll see how that one goes.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the silver group, which is your guys' division. What do you guys how do you guys make of your group? Because I personally think that like your group is just everyone's out for war. Everyone's just trying their best to survive and make it to the that fourth slot and make it into the playoffs with a very, very close group.
I mean, this was kind of the expectation when the drafts or the conferences all came out, and we looked at our group and went, "Oh, this is the group of death. Silver is the group of death."
Yeah.
With three former PDL winners plus a finalist from the previous season and a veteran in Dorike. Like we didn't this was going to be a bloodbath regardless. I think the standings are really reflective of how fair like the parity has been really apparent with even the two teams at the bottom where we kind of expected them to not get as many wins as losses, but they've been very competitive in the matches they've played as well.
You want to go ahead, Coco?
Yeah, I mean, I just have to agree with everything Easton said there, right? It was the preseason expectation is just this is the group of death, like he said, and just Kentucky Crowbats and San Marino Sandals, both teams that obviously they were rookies, but just talking with them, like you'd you'd think they'd have like a couple more wins here or there, but just this group is just very tooth and nail right now, and everyone is fighting for their lives, and I really like it that way. I love how competitive the group has been, and I'm really happy to see Dory K up here at 3-2, in the third spot with the Shelmet boys. I mean, this guy has not had the best seasons, at least in my experience since I've joined the league. He's had some rough seasons, but his team just fits his personality and his play style so well this season. I am so scared to prep for this team. I've said it over and over to all my close friends. Like, I do not want to play against the balance of this team. Incineroar, Amoonguss, like Azumarill, like I am just gonna get methodically picked apart if I don't lock in and play very well. So, and then
Yeah.
Feeney also, I think no one expected him to be, maybe middle of the pack we were expecting, but up here at second place with a strong start to the season. Um, I mean, I think he had a strong season last season to start, and then didn't finish as well. So I hope to not see that trend continue for him because he's been playing pretty well.
I have to say, one person I thought that would be a little bit higher in the standings would be Koopa. I thought his team was pretty insane when he got those trades at the beginning of the season with the Tapu Lele and the Chiyu coming his way. 'Cause he has a pretty nice like couple of modes. The Sunny Day mode with the Chiyu, obviously, just like literally just killing anything that's like remotely even like not that bulky, right? And then has the expanding force, I believe. No, is it expanding force? Let me pull up his team.
Lele does not get it. I don't think it does. No, Lele doesn't get it. I'm not sure.
Oh no, he's not the expanding
I,
force team. Oh no, he does. He has like Iron Crown. He has
Crown
Iron
does.
Crown.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got expanding force, Iron Crown. So like that's one mode. And then he also has like the Halucha, Unburden, Tapu Lele mode, right? Or Tailwind mode if you want with Whimsicott too. So I really thought Koopa could like maybe cook a little bit more with this team as he had so many options. But still not doing that bad. He's still 2-2. I would expect maybe Koopa could lock in and like get a couple more wins to guarantee a spot playoffs. Because I think this team is like very very scary. He has multiple options to play with this team.
Mr. Easton, any comments on your season thus far? Because I think definitely expecting you to be up here with me. But obviously myself, like after all my matches being so close every week, like and realizing how strong the group is, I'm like, okay, like I like obviously I'm on top, but like one or two moves go differently, a little luck goes differently in some of my matches. I am like also middle bottom of the pack.
I mean, not only is this the group of death, but I've had a really poor season with luck.
Yeah.
I mean, the one match that you guys are not seeing in the standings that has already been played, I missed a Grassy Glide to a Sandvale Pokemon and lost the game because of it. So, like, it's just stuff like that that happens where sometimes it'll cause me to drop a match. And I'm not saying like that's why I've had some losses. I think I've had some weeks where I've prepped poorly or played poorly. And that's on me really, but the luck has just continued from last season with all the missed sleep moves. It just has not stopped.
Fair enough, yeah. Well, since we talked about a lot of these teams, is there anything you guys expect, like which four teams to make it out from each group to make it to the playoffs? Like your like so-called predictions.
If you want to record some predictions, sure. Let's start with red group. Um, I would expect the top four to be the Dueling Jumpluffs,
Yep.
Strict's team, the South Austin Dugongs, and Buff Shaman.
Okay. What about you, Coco Puffs?
I think I'm gonna go Juling Jumpluffs, Strix team, Buff Shaman, and Fortress as my top four.
Okay, okay. I definitely obviously have Julian Jump Puffs and South Austin Dugongs. And then for the last two, I also think Strict. And I think Karita will bring it back and get that last spot in the red group. And what about this blue group? I can start if you want, guys.
Yeah.
All right, so I think Kwame, Cloudy, and McPhee's will probably just end up taking it 1 and 2, or both could be first place, I guess, depending on what happens. And then I would say probably Derizen at third, and I think I have Gamagate as fourth.
I think I'm gonna completely agree with you there. I think same order too. I think Claudie, McFeeds, Derizen, and then Gambagate.
This is a really tough group for me to predict because I know the three that I would want to start with, but I don't know the fourth one. And my problem with trying to make the prediction that both Gameg and Water both make it out is I don't think it's realistic with the schedules that McFeeds and Derizen both have left.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough one for
In
sure.
fact, Gameg has a really difficult schedule to finish. But even with that, I think it's just the four that we see in order there. Call Me Claudie, McFeeds, Taylor Swifts, and Smeargle Wizard Money King. I think it's those 4 that make it out. Sorry, Water.
Okay. What about the gold group? Want to start us off, Coco?
Gold group. Obviously I think I have you going first, and then I have Nezumi Neighbors, Chris, and then see the Strawberry Frogs. See what the rest of his schedule looks like. Sarah Auras, Castilia, and Nezumi's Neighbors. That's a tough schedule. I personally think they might get knocked out here. So I'm gonna say that's gonna be Thunder, Nezumi, Chris, and then I want to say Sage is gonna sneak in at the 4th spot.
Okay.
Put some faith in the veteran.
What do we got, Easton?
I'm gonna go a little crazy with this one and say Thunder and Nezumi for sure as 1-2, and then Chris with the 3rd slot and Fenbach with the 4th.
I almost
Ooh.
wanted to say that too.
It's an interesting one. Well, I guess for myself, I definitely have I guess I'm first, and then Nezumi second, and then I think I have Chris and probably Sage as the 4th slot. But I think it'd look very, very bad if I were to lose to him last week and give him that 4th slot. It would sound like it's scripted, you know?
Oh, great.
I might be cursing myself too at the same time. Who knows? And then we got the Silver Group, the last one. So I guess I'll start us off. So I definitely have Cocoa Puffs first. I'm gonna say I have some faith in Easton that he's gonna bring it back, and I got him second. I'm gonna say third Koopa. I think he's also gonna bring it back, and then I'm gonna have Feeny fourth.
Wow.
I appreciate your faith in me, Thunder. I will do my best.
I can't wait for the Dory K edit with this, this in the background, because I personally I've got Dory K at my 2. I've got
Okay.
me first, Dory K at 2, Easton in 3rd, and then 4th for me. I could see any of these guys. Like we said, this group is so tough. I'm gonna go ahead and say Beanie at my 4.
Okay.
And then for me, I'm gonna say 1 Cocoa Puffs, 2 myself, 3 Koopa, and 4 Dory K.
Okay, this is gonna be interesting. I definitely can't wait to look back at the end of the season and see how these fare out, and especially I think me and Coco also had our start of the season predictions as well. So now we have 2 different predictions. So it's definitely gonna be very, very interesting. Is there anything
Also
else?
remember with
What's up?
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, just remember with Koopa in his last matches, 2 of his matches are teams below him in the standings. So he's had an extremely tough schedule so far with 2 of his wins against people above him in the standings already. I think he can pull it back from there.
That's a fair shout for sure. So shall we take a look at the kill leaders quickly and see what's going on there? Who's leading in the Pokemon War?
Yeah.
All right. So we got the coach kill leaders. This is the individual one, and then on the right side we also have the like I said, duo, both coaches' Pokemon combined kills together. So far we got Urshifu Rapid Strike at number 1 with 15 kills. I can't lie, I don't know when that got updated. I didn't see that. I thought the other Urshifu was leading, which is Billy's Urshifu.
I haven't played my match yet. Just wait.
True,
I think
fair
it's
enough.
Urshifu. I
I'm
think Genie has played his week 5 match, so
just gonna say nobody could have predicted both Urshifus to be at the top of the standings. Wow, it's not like this Pokemon is broken.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm also trying my best to get this Premier to finish number 1 kill leader at the end of this season, just to prove to McFeeds that this Pokemon is not a fraud.
yeah, I was about to say Thunder's just waiting for one of us to mention this Primarina up here. Definitely been a solid staple for your team. 3rd on the kill chart is kind of crazy. Obviously, with the success on your team, it's like, the success of your team is going to make Primarina higher, but also Primarina just being successful is what's making your team winning, right?
Not to
So
mention only one death too.
yeah.
So
Also, remember the standings are not completely accurate yet because the Heatran that is sitting at number 32 here is actually number 3 in kills right now.
Oh
true.
yeah, after this week.
Oh yeah, true. That's true. Yeah, but some other what's it called? Pretty interesting ones, like for example, like the Easton, the one he mentioned, the Feraligatr. We didn't think Feraligatr was gonna go off, but at the beginning of the season, I think the first 2 or 3 weeks, the Feraligatr was taking lives. Like that thing was just clicking liquidation and just spamming liquidation, just killing Pokemon, just taking like kills after kills, which was pretty surprising.
It's also kind of nice to see the Iron Boulder up there at number 15, Iron Fraud,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
it's so called. I think that's, and then Glastrier at number 5 as well. And was Glastrier not a really late pick, or was that his first pick?
Um, I
Do not
can't remember, to
remember.
be honest. It's been so long since the draft day, or too many things has been happening.
Either way, it's still surprising to see it so high, but on a Trick Room team, I suppose it makes sense. And then the P2 at number 25, also kind of surprising that it's been carrying the Kentucky Crowbats so far.
Yeah, I would feel like this thing kind of like more of like getting like probably like side kills or like passive kills, like with like the Thunderbolt or like the Tri Attack, but it's putting in the work for Kentucky Crowbats for sure.
King Gambit at 11-0, no deaths, really strong. But what I was gonna say about Julian Jumplups is, obviously his team is undefeated, right, in terms of
Yeah,
games. But you actually don't you see a lot of his Pokemon just scattered about here in the top kill leader list. I think he's done a really good job of spreading the kills on his team and just making each pick from his team very useful. Not seeing just one Pokemon carrying his entire team.
yeah, he's been definitely using a lot of different Pokemon on his team to carry. Like all his Pokemon have like a potential to like have like a carry threat, like be able to like rack up kills and like carry a game and stuff. So it's a very scary team to play against for sure.
In terms of on the right side, just Pokemon leaders in general, right? I
Yeah,
think nothing really surprising from the top of this list. Obviously, I think Heatran's gonna skyrocket to the top here after this week, from Easton's match that hasn't been entered
yeah.
yet. But
Mhm.
not the one I would expect to be number one overall. But that pick has been obviously very useful, especially with Open Terra, letting it Terra when it needs it, and letting other Pokemon on his team Terra when they need it. But I think I just saw it on here. There's something crazy. I think it's the Feraligatr that we're talking about at 28.
Wait, who was the other for
That thing has been
Alligator?
putting in crazy work.
Or was it just
And
by
it's by
himself?
itself
Oh, it's
too,
by
by the
By
itself.
way.
itself,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow, that is
And so
crazy.
is the Primarina at number 15, because I think is it undrafted or
It's
unused in
undrafted,
the
I'm
other
pretty sure, or it's
conference?
unused or something. I know it's just like it's all me. We can take a look right now. Like Premier has, where is it? 12
Let's see.
kills. How many kills do I have on it?
Number 3, 12 kills. It's the exact same
Okay,
stats.
so yeah, so it's my stats. So yeah, I think the other person either it's undrafted or someone's not been using it. One thing that's really surprising to me is Urshifu, obviously, like not no surprise that it's like up there at the top, but also 16 deaths. So like this thing is like racking the kills, but also just racking the deaths at the same time, which is pretty interesting.
Primarina is undrafted, by the way. It's undrafted in the other conference.
I think someone dropped it. I'm pretty sure someone picked it up and then dropped it. I think.
If it was, you would think that they would have used it at least once. That's kind of crazy because Primarina is an amazing Pokemon.
Thank you. More calls to my
Especially with the
Primarina to
lack
the
of
McFeeds. Thank you.
yeah, lack of fairy types in the good fairy types in the format. I think this is the nature of Urshifus, right? They're there to dish out strong damage, and they are frail. You're gonna run them with the sash, and they're gonna get off 1, 2, maybe 3 strong hits if you're lucky, and then they're gonna die because the opponent's thinking, "I need to kill this Urshifu before it kills me," right? So they're very frail. They're out there to hit and die. Whereas if you see something like this Glastrier, this thing is gonna be sitting on the field a lot with tanking hits. It's got 19 kills, but only 6 deaths.
I'm also going to give a big shout out to the Nihilego, which snuck in at 23 on the list here. Um, I think it's Water and as well as myself that have the two Nihilegos.
Yep.
People don't expect that to be dishing out damage in a format as powerful as this one, but I think it's proven some people wrong in how they were talking after the initial draft.
I'm pretty excited actually that it's doing like at least decently well because I always wanted to use one. I was like, that's like the kind of the face of the Ultra Beast, so I thought it was like a really cool Pokemon with a really unique typing. So I'm really happy that it's at least doing pretty decently. I'd want to use one myself one day. I think it's a pretty cool Pokemon to use. Any predictions of who's gonna finish first in the kills on either side?
One of the two Urshifus is going to be number one, unless Heatran takes it over, I believe.
Okay, okay.
I think those are both safe bets. Fluttermane, in terms of overall kills, could sneak up there. I think it doesn't it racks up a lot of damage. Maybe not doesn't always get the finishing blows for both teams it's being used on. So maybe it sneaks up there on the combined list. What are some picks that you guys are surprised to see more towards the bottom? For me, I'm looking.
Can
I
scroll down
see
a little
one
bit.
at number 160, Annihilate
160?
with 2 kills. Yeah, number 160 on the
Wow.
left side.
I mean, Chris just got the Pokemon, right? So I don't know if those two kills are from Chris in this week's battle, or if that's from
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
or that's from
that's
Kentucky Crowbats that had Annihilate.
it's been brought 7 games, so I think that's both stats or stats from being used on both teams so far. I don't know if Chris has even used it yet.
Hmm. That is a very surprising. Annihilate obviously being like a pretty good Pokemon, so I would have thought at least that thing is also pretty high up in the kill, or at least somewhat like 5, 6, 7 kills.
Yeah. Also, I just saw. I mean, some of the Cocos are and the Lele's are down here too, which is surprising to see. Otherwise, you see a lot of support Pokemon.
Iron
Um,
Hands with only 3 kills is crazy.
yeah.
129.
Wow. Yeah.
Especially with it being brought to 10 games. It's -5. Is that the worst minus in the... No, there's a couple -7s that have 0 kills, but it's the worst that actually has kills.
Roaring
Maybe,
Moon with 0 kills on 7 games brought at 244. Just a tough
but he
season
didn't
for Dipsy
he
thus
pick it
far.
up pretty recently too though? That's another like pickup, right? Because it was undrafted for a while.
It was undrafted, but I believe he drafted. I believe he picked it up before his week 1 match, if I remember right.
Oh, did he? Okay,
It's
okay.
it's still been brought to 7 games and hasn't gotten a kill yet, so...
Yeah, that's not getting much value out of it. Might have to say Spectre too at two from the other side, New York Yankees. I think I saw it somewhere here. 2 kills. Not what you would like to
Yeah,
see.
Spectre. That's the one I was thinking of earlier. Yeah, I lost track of it. Spectre only 2 kills. I think in terms of J Money's team, I'd really like to see him just put the fries in the bag and just do a Spectre Chi-Yu lead and just let it rip. I think that really might just benefit his season and maybe let him claw back into it. Maybe
Even
he's
I don't
overthinking
have
it a
that
little
many
too much.
kills on Spectre too. I only have 5 kills, which is
Yeah,
like pretty, I guess,
That's
bad.
still reasonable. It's still 1 per match if you even brought it, so...
Fair enough. Yeah, some interesting definitely kill leads. Is there anything else we want to go through? Maybe we go through the schedule and see like what we got for the last couple of weeks for the before the playoffs start.
yeah, yeah. Let's just look and see what notable matches we have coming up.
So we'll start
I
with like
know
the
off the
Kanto
top of my
conference.
head.
Yep.
I just know off the top of my head, week 7 in the silver division, I believe it is.
Okay.
Um, you have Easton versus Koopa. Uh, I
Ugh,
mean, just
again.
guessing. Yeah, just guessing. Uh, now that's gonna have major playoff implications for both of those two. Whether
Hate
they're in,
it.
they're out, what position they're gonna be. It's gonna be two strong battlers in a week 7 match with playoff implications. That's definitely going down as my match of the week. Now is my big prediction.
Okay, okay. I gotta say also in the blue group, the week 7 match of the Risen versus or Taylor Swift versus Water Whoopers. That's gonna be probably like a really important match for Water, as he probably needs to win that match in order to like make sure he gets into playoffs.
And at the same time, also in Blue Group, you've got the McFeeds Mareeps against the leader of Blue, Call Me Claudie, in the final match. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
that could very well determine who's first, who's second.
Obviously, in like week 5, the classic matchup of McFeeds versus Gamagate, that's gonna probably be a very important match for Gamagate to win if he
Yeah,
can
just
for the standings.
an important match for both of them, and in terms of just history of the league, you'd probably want to put your money on the fact that that match is going to be a banger.
Yeah, I don't even know what their head-to-head to be is, honestly, at this point. Like, another trophy count, but I'm not sure about their head-to-head, like, even in the
I
regular
feel
season
like
games.
if a memory serves, McFeeds might be ahead by a little bit,
Okay.
but most of their matches have been playoffs, I believe.
Yeah, not often in the same group.
Looking at other things, any other things you guys see? Any major
New York
implications?
New York Yankees, looking at their season going forward in red group, they've got uh, D1 Dittos, uh,
Drilling
week
jump
7,
bluffs, week 6.
Drooling Jump Bluffs, and Majors Penguins. So two teams at the bottom of the standing so far. You'd have to think if he could win those and then somehow pull off a win against Drooling Jump Bluffs, his season might be saved in terms of making playoffs. Um, I want to say out of everything I see, that's like one of the roads that is most possible in terms of people on the lower side of standings being able to make playoffs.
But all hinges on the fact that he has to beat drilling jump bluffs, right? Because if he doesn't beat drilling jump bluffs, I think his record would be 3-4.
Most likely,
And
yeah,
then,
three and
like,
four, and then
you
that's
need
just
you need help from people. Like, if it's very,
yeah,
very, like, what's called rare, that you're gonna get like a tiebreaker situation out of that to qualify over people.
yeah.
I don't see much anything else. I feel like gold group is kind of like chilling. There's probably some important matches for sure, like amateur Alcremies
The
versus Chris, pretty important in week
the
5.
the week 6 Nizumi's neighbors versus Chris is also pretty important.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think if Nizumi wins that, he's pretty much secured for playoffs, right?
And if Chris wins that, then there's some trouble afoot.
Yeah,
yeah, because
and then obviously
he
the
would
week
be
7 matchup.
3-2, and then you have to make sure he wins the week 7.
Yeah, and then the week 7 matchup, as you mentioned earlier, between you and Sage could have playoff implications for him if he manages to win out before then, or even pick up one. If he could pick up one and then somehow beat you, it might save him. So
It's definitely,
Sage,
yeah,
Sage also one of the people with potential based on his schedule to make playoffs. Probably once again one of the people who is in the lower end of standings who has a good road to make it, just in terms of the standings of the people he's facing. Right,
yeah.
big matchup with that Little Caesars Pizza week 5 matchup for both of them. Basically, I think if Little Caesars loses it, he's pretty much out. If Sage wins it, he's got a road back in.
Yeah, it's definitely really really close at the end of the season. Once it gets to like week 7, or it's gonna be a really close, tightly finish between a lot of different scenarios and stuff like this. But as we wrap up, is there anything you guys wanna say before we end this episode? It's been a pretty good episode, I think. Or anything you
Yeah,
want to
just
go over?
happy to see everyone. Um, I'm hoping the best for all the people on the lower side of the standings. Your season is not over, and I mean for almost anyone really. If you win out, I mean sometimes you might need a little help from other people winning their matches to help you squeak in. But just try to play your best, and if not, play spoiler. I know it sucks when you're eliminated from playoffs, but play spoiler. Play for that person who's in that fourth, fifth spot in your standings that um, they want to get in. And if you're playing spoiler and playing your best, like you hopefully should have been every game of the season, that's going to help them do that. Whereas if you just forfeit your match or you don't try, you might hurt someone's playoff implications.
And don't forget, for those that are on the lower side of the standings, losing is kind of good for you as a battler because you learn by losing. If you take your losses at the start of the season and you've learned from it, then you're going to have an advantage later. So play out your games with the vigor that you can and see if you can crack yourself into the playoffs.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Always try your best in every single game because maybe you don't have a good season this season, right? But if you can take the experience and like some learnings from these battles that are lost, you can improve upon that and like reflect on yourself at the end of the season and then try to improve for next season, try to like lock in for the next season. But yeah, if that's everything, that's gonna be the end of this mid-season review podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. Pretty long episode, so yeah, we're gonna end it here. So good luck to all the coaches, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye, guys.
Take care, guys.
Bye bye.